What's up, guys? This is Wes with Sincity Tactical, and with me, as always, Griff and Rob. What's up, guys? Absolutely. I am having an issue. Give me 1 second. There we go. All right. So, sorry, technical difficulties. OBS decided not to put all the cams up. We can't go through one show without having the technical difficulty at the beginning, can we? Okay, well, first thing we're going to do is jump right into our patriotic message.
Oh boy. All right, let's try this again. So, this week's patriotic message is brought to us by Pauline Hanson, an Australian politician. To survive in peace and harmony, united and strong, we must have one people, one nation, one flag. And with that, we'll go to Rob for the two-way news.
The Second Amendment Foundation today filed a federal lawsuit challenging the state's laws, regulation, policies, and enforcement practices relating to the rights of citizens wanting to bear loaded handguns outside the home. The case involves two plaintiffs whose rights SAF was instrumental in restoring in a previous federal case. Joining SAF are the Firearms Policy Coalition and individual citizens Julio Suarez, Daniel Bitterup, and Daniel Miller. They are represented by attorneys Joshua Prince of Mitchellville, Pennsylvania, and Adam Kraut of Sacramento, California. Named as the defendant is Colonel Robert Evanchek, Commissioner of the Pennsylvania State Police, in his official capacity. The case is known as Suarez versus Evanchek and was filed in U.S. District Court for the Middle District of Pennsylvania. SAF is delighted to once again be helping Julio Suarez and Daniel Bitterup, said SAF founder and executive vice president Alan M. Gottlieb. We're proud to have helped these men restore their Second Amendment rights in a court a few years ago, and this time we're joined by our friends at FPC and Mr. Miller. As we say in the lawsuit, he continued, their rights to bear arms outside the home are being thwarted because of the state's oppressive criminal statutes, a licensing system that has been closed under a declared emergency since 2018. The 64-page complaint notes state and local governments, whether legislatively or by executive decree, cannot simply suspend the Constitution. Authorities may not, by decree or otherwise, enact and or enforce the suspension or deprivation of constitutional liberties. We're asking the federal court to permanently restrain and enjoin the state from enforcing the laws that created this situation, and we are also asking the court for summary judgment, Gottlieb said. No state or agency should be able to deny the exercise of a constitutionally protected right under the color of state law. We're confident the court will quickly recognize this problem and correct it.
All right, so what the Pro 2A news is about is how in Pennsylvania they were basically trying to suspend your constitutional rights. Which obviously that's infringing upon them, and you cannot do that. How it was found out was, as it stated in the story, that two guys got pulled over basically. Their guns got checked, and they were carrying loaded, which they technically weren't allowed to do because they had suspended that. So, with that being said, you can't suspend constitutional rights. They're always there or they're not, which is what Biden is trying to do. He's trying to get rid of our Second Amendment right. So this should be an easy win for the Second Amendment Foundation to be able to prove that you cannot infringe upon your constitutional rights. Let me bring in Griffin, Rob. What are your guys' thoughts?
Go ahead, Griff.
Well, I want to play a quick soundbite from our glorious president.
But no amendment to the Constitution is absolute.
And with that, he has said the absolute most incorrect thing possible. The Constitution is absolute. They are rights given to us by God or any other higher power that you choose to believe in. And who are we to change our rights? It is completely wrong and a perversion of what this great country is founded on. What about you, Rob?
Well, no, I completely agree. I mean, even it says right in the Second Amendment, shall not be infringed, as in it shall not be changed. It cannot be changed. It is what it is. It keeps power with the people, what the Constitution was written for. Power to the people, not power to the government. So what people don't understand, you lose your Second Amendment right, you're going to lose every other right there is. That is your only right to keep everything fair. And if anyone ever noticed, I believe it's Texas. They just signed into their law that any federal change to the Second Amendment will not affect in that state, I believe.
Nice.
Nice.
Here's my thing on that, though. I'm going to play devil's advocate a little bit here. The Texas saying that federal law doesn't apply to their state law is going to be hard to hold up in court. Now, obviously, that can force their police officers to police that way under the laws that they make, but federal agencies are still going to arrest you, regardless if you're in Texas or not, if they are the ones being called to your home or whatever situation happens. I guess that's kind of like when certain states originally first allowed marijuana to be legalized. It was legal in the state, but federally, if you got caught up, you're still catching a charge. So I think that's one step closer to the right direction by saying, hey, look, we're not going to put up with that. But ultimately, if the federal government decides to really push into it, they could cause some trouble. So, does anybody have any closing thoughts on that topic?
No.
All right, then we're going to move right into the tactical gear review. All right, so today I'm going to be talking about the KCI 100 round drum. As you can see here, it's pretty heavy. I'd say about 4 pounds, give or take. Not the most comfortable thing to put on your AR. I like to do what's called a C-clamp grip. So I hold the handrail with a full extension C-clamp. And by doing that, this kind of jams into my arm. But when you're out at the range having fun or something like that, it's always fun to throw the 100 round drum on there, let somebody shoot it. It gives a cool aesthetic to the gun. Some people call them nutsacks. I mean, give or take it as you want. It's fun. It's a toy. This isn't something that you're gonna carry to do home defense with. This is literally a range toy. They roughly go for about $140, between 140 170 bucks, depending on where you get it from. I like that this has the, well, probably shouldn't hold it that way. That didn't look very good, huh? That's an adult joke for you kids out there. Anyways, clear back. I like that I can see it, so I can kind of keep account of where I'm at. And it's kind of hard to tell, but on this part of the dial here, it says how many rounds are in it. So you'll know and be able to keep track of it. But that is the KCI 100 round drum. Now we're going to move into Griff.
All right. This week I've chosen the Mechanics Impact gloves, specifically the half mil variant. They run for about 40 bucks online with a thermoplastic rubber padding on the back, tech dry suede everywhere else, a thumb wipe for sweat, and the thing I love most about it, a cuttable or sliceable index finger where it's stitched on both sides so you don't have to worry about any sort of fraying. I've used the half mil variant myself for about a year and a half at my personal work as a mechanic. And they've lasted me for a whole year without breaking down. Fantastic gloves, and they allow me to keep all dexterity in my hands while giving me the protection I'm looking for. My opinion, they have got to be some of the best gloves I've ever used until I am proven otherwise. And with that, we'll go over to Rob.
Okay, so for mine, I'm doing the AR-15 Goat Gun. Now, it's not much of a tactical item, but it is a pretty cool gift. Cool toy to play with, good decor for your desk. They come in a whole bunch of different models, different skins, paint jobs. Cool thing about these is you do assemble them, which makes it kind of fun, especially like if you have a kid that likes to assemble stuff. So you do get to put it together. There's a lot of parts that do function, like magazine actually does have little miniature rounds in it, little brass rounds in it. It even has a dust cover. I don't know if you can see that. You pull the slide back, functions. You can switch out accessories like the silencer. You can change sights out. Just a bunch of cool little stuff. And you can check them out. I've gotten a few of them, 3 or 4 of them. My son has a couple of them. So, yeah, that's it.
Awesome. So that was our tactical gear for the week. Like I said, the 100 round drum, fun range toy. The gloves, good for all purposes, whether it be shooting, whether it be working on your car, working on something mechanically. It's a nice way to protect yourself, protect your hands. Most of us, at least the 3 of us, work with our hands on a daily basis. And we work with some equipment that could be very sharp and very dangerous. So it's always good to have a good pair of gloves. And then, like Rob said, the goat guns. Awesome thing to have. Desk ornaments and stuff like that. Me personally, I don't have any yet. But I know I'm slacking. I'm going to be picking some up here soon. But that is our tactical gear review. Does anybody have any questions about the items that were put up on the screen?
You're muted, Griff.
My apologies. I muted myself on accident. Wes, would you happen to have any feeding issues with that magazine? I know some of the drums on the market, you get to the last 20 or 10 rounds and they just give up.
So, good question. I've put 350 rounds through it already, and I've had one failure to feed and one double feed. So, out of 350 rounds, but I'm not going to blame it necessarily on the magazine. I came across a box of ammo that had been dropped, got it for a discount a while back, and there could have been an issue where the ammo casing was dented or something and just didn't sit right in the magazine. It does come with a speed loader too. So when you buy that, it comes with a carrying case and a speed loader. And I didn't use the speed loader for like the last 20 rounds, which would have been the first set of rounds going through it. Which, I mean, speculation, it could have been the ammo, could have been the mag. But I have had 2 issues with it out of 350 rounds, which is kind of a lot, really, if you think about it. But I think the mag is good quality. I think my ammo is where I had the issue.
Cool.
All right, we're going to move on to our shout outs and sponsors. All right, first I'd like to thank Wendy from Sight Shooter, personal firearms instructor out here in Las Vegas. She works with basics in firearms, pistols, safety classes for when you're outside the home, safety classes for when you're in the home. I know she's in the process of getting her CCW instructors licensing as well, so she can start teaching the CCW classes. She also partakes in the Annie Oakley program, which is all women instructors, all women students. So she likes to take first-time shooters and kind of mold them into good, safe shooters. So check her out. Secondly, I would like to thank TacPack, a monthly subscription service. If you use our code SC Tactical, you'll receive a free mystery grab bag on your first order. You get about 5 or 6 items. Me and Griff have both received some really cool items. One, for example, I use all the time. My Tac Pack Nalgene bottle, which is awesome. You can see there's a AR-15 gun cleaning mat that's descriptive and detailed, so it actually tells you each part individually. And then we've received cool things like muzzle brakes and magazines and a bunch of cool stuff, so check them out. But that's it for me on my shout outs. We're going to move into Griff.
All right, as usual, I'm shouting out G3 at g3survival.com, the finest leather goods on the market for firearm accessories. Whether you're looking for AR grip covers, rail covers, stock covers, finger loops, magazine wraps. He has them in spades, made from 100% American leather up here in Minnesota. Always coming out with new designs. And in fact, just yesterday, I finished tooling up another design for him. So feel free to check them out at g3survival.com or on our websites, sincitytactical.xyz or sincitytacticalmn.xyz, where he also has a storefront. Amazing guy, amazing work. And with that, we'll go to Rob.
I'd like to shout out and thank 702 HVAC Guy and One Shot 417. They both do Call of Duty streaming. Well, actually, they stream a few things, but mainly Call of Duty. Great entertainment. If you guys ever want to check them out, go over to Twitch, twitch.tv/702 HVAC Guy or One Shot 417.
Perfect. That's our shout outs and sponsors, guys. Always got to give them credit. They help make the show run, just like you guys viewing the show helps keep us in the ratings and the analytics to where it's being shared across the web. So we greatly appreciate you guys viewing in. What I'm going to say before we move into the red button news is a disclaimer. If you have any children at home that are watching the show right now and you don't want them to see violence in the form of a police shooting incident, body cam footage, then I would recommend to remove them from the room. If you are okay with it, then just the disclaimer, this is some graphic content that is about to be showed. Moving into the red button news.
Hey! What's going on? Hey, what's going on? Hey! Get down! Get down! Get down! Get down!
We'll play it for you again. This body camera video shows Officer Nicholas Reardon arriving at the scene. He asks what's going on, and then Reardon fired 4 shots at Micaiah Bryant, who police say was armed with a knife and was about to stab that girl in the pink.
She had a knife. She just went at her.
Here's the 911 call that led police to the scene.
A Columbus, Ohio police officer fatally shot a teen girl Tuesday afternoon while responding to a call about someone armed with a knife, officials said. Portions of the officer body camera footage shown by police hours after the incident appeared to show the girl attempting to stab another female just before the gunfire. After shooting, there appears to be a knife laying on the ground near the person who was shot. Police said the video shows someone trying to stab one person on the ground and a second person. City officials called the shooting a tragedy and urged calm and patience. Micaiah Bryant, a 16-year-old in the foster care system, was fatally shot, Franklin County Children's Services said Tuesday night. Columbus Mayor Andrew Ginther described the shooting as a horrible, heartbreaking situation. We know based on this footage the officer took action to protect another girl in our community, but the family is grieving tonight, he said. The shooting happened just before the nation learned of the jury's verdict against former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin, who was found guilty of murder and manslaughter in the death of George Floyd. As we breathed a collective sigh of relief today, a community in Columbus felt the sting of another police shooting. Ben Crump, the Floyd family's attorney, tweeted Tuesday evening, "Another child lost, another hashtag." Interim Columbus Police Chief Michael Woods said police were dispatched around 4:30 p.m. after a caller said females were there trying to stab them and put their hands on them. Body camera video appears to show a fight when the officers arrive. 2 females are in a confrontation and one falls to the ground in front of the officer. The girl, who was later shot, appears to move toward another person near a car, and the officer appears to repeat "get down" before firing 4 times. A person, apparently the officer who fired, says the girl went at her. The video appears to show that officer later tell another officer who was attending to the girl who was shot she came at her with a knife. Woods said it was unusual to release police body cam video so soon, but police wanted to be transparent about the incident and provide what answers it could. A police public records process is underway to release the full video, he said.
All right, so this one is a touchy subject, but in this particular instance, I want facts to be put out there that protesting happened very shortly after the incident had happened in the same neighborhood that the incident happened in. BLM was involved. All of the suspects and victims were all African American. So, of course, BLM is going to be involved. I'm going to tread lightly on what I say. And what I'm referring to by that is the police officer was severely outnumbered with the amount of people that were there in the video, as you saw. And while he was walking up to try to de-escalate the situation, she then decided to attack the first female, which fell to the ground, and it looked like husband, brother, father, something related to her. Then proceeded to try to kick the female that was on the ground. She turned and went after the lady in all pink. and of course went to try to stab her. As you heard, the police officer yelled, "Get down," multiple times before he decided to fire. In this instance, I do not feel that the police officer was in the wrong. Do I, feel like it was justified? Absolutely. She was attacking two people, trying to take their lives or cause very severe bodily harm. And with that, the officer had to do what he believed to be right. And I believe most of us that are law-abiding citizens would also agree he did do what was right at that moment in time. Severely outnumbered, no way to get a handle on the situation by himself. He yelled multiple times, "Get down, get down, get down, get down," while his firearm was drawn, obviously, to protect himself. And she proceeded to try to commit murder right in front of this police officer. That's the part that drives me crazy when I watch that clip, is this stabbing situation didn't happen before the officer got there. It happened when he showed up. So naturally, this situation is just crazy. Let's bring the guys back in and get their thoughts. Griff, any thoughts?
Well, as it is, whenever another life is taken, it is unfortunate, regardless of who it is. But it's like the adage goes: you play stupid games and you win stupid prizes. And in this case, the girl, can't even say woman, the girl was trying to commit murder right in front of a police officer. And she was dealt with by said police officer. The thing that sickens me most about this is how people are trying to defend this and justify it. So now the general consensus is that we're okay with child knife fighting. What sort of clown world are we living in now? It is just absolutely absurd. But I completely agree 100%. This is a justified occurrence. And I do believe this entire thing really shouldn't have even been on the news. The cop was in the right, doing the right thing at the right time. Yes, it's unfortunate that your life was lost, but at least another life, if not more, were saved by his actions. What do you think, Rob?
Well, this is my take on it. Is for one, McCare Brown, she's the one that called the police because she said that there's people trying to harm her. So cops show up. From the cop's point of view, he's rolling up. You can see within 5 seconds of getting out of his car, this whole situation happened. So in that 5 seconds, he had no idea who called. He didn't know what was going on. The only thing he saw was people fighting, and then he saw a blade going to someone's neck. He took the training he was taught. He fired 4 rounds. Unfortunately, someone did lose their life over it, but it is 100% justifiable. Now, there's a lot of arguments saying he could have tased her instead or shot her in the leg. Now, if you actually stop and think about it, in that 5 seconds, how long does it take for that taser to charge up? And what was his distance to that situation? What is the percentage or the rate that taser is actually going to make contact and do what it's supposed to do? And lastly, what happens when tasers hit human body? What do your muscles do? They twitch. Does it immediately stop you? No, it doesn't. If you'd used the taser, the girl in pink would have been dead. So yeah, he took a life, but he also saved a life. And the thing that really upsets me is the only people that are responsible for this are the people involved in the fighting and the parents that raised those kids, in my opinion. The other people that are at fault for this is the media. 100% the media. Literally a week before that, in the exact same neighborhood, A 13-year-old girl was stabbed to death by another 14-year-old girl. Both African American, was not posted anywhere on the news, did not matter at all to anyone. Black Lives Matter was not there. No one cared at all. That's my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. When the media takes something and they blow it out of proportion, it almost seems like, and I'm not trying to downplay the situation, but it almost seems like to me that they're like fame chasing, protesting to try to make it on TV and try to look like they're an activist to their community. Getting one glimpse on a camera for 15 seconds, holding a sign to say, I care. You know, and like you said, same thing. It was two children that had killed them. One killed the other a week prior to this happening. Wasn't on the news or anything. Why was it put on the news? White officer, police officer shooting. That's it. Now, did anybody say anything about the dude who went for a 50-yard field goal to that chick's head that hit the ground?
No.
Not one thing has been said
Not
about
a
that.
single thing.
Not that I know of. I think we're the first show on this platform to even bring that up. You know, and that makes me more mad than anything else.
The proper
These
way
are
that should have been
children.
handled. Yeah, the proper way that should have been handled. If, you know, when she called the cops, they said they're on her way. She said she called the cops when she was inside her home. She should have stayed inside her home. Let the cops come deal with it. She shouldn't have gone out there to instigate it more, aggravate it even more. She sure should not have grabbed a knife and gone after the girl.
Yep.
Even if it
I
is
agree.
self-defense. She had a better defense staying in her home.
Look at all the people she had with her. She didn't need to do that at all. She had
Yeah,
more
yeah.
people helping her than the two females that were attacked.
And that's the other thing. How come not a single one of those people jumped in to help? Not a single person tried to break that up. You saw more people out with their cell phones filming it than trying to help.
Or trying to kick them in the head.
Right.
You know? Last thing I'm going to say on this, and then we're going to move into the next topic, unless, Griff, you have something else you'd like to add? No? Okay, so the last thing I'm going to say to this is, you want things like this to stop happening? Stop teaching stupid subjects in school and teach real-world practicality, common sense. If this was taught in school, how to deal with adversity, confrontation, and police officers, a lot more lives would be saved. If we were taught at a young age, and I'm not talking like high school age, I'm talking middle school, 6th, 7th grade, when a kid is still impressionable, and you can get to them and actually teach life lessons to them. You teach them how to interact with a police officer in the event that you come across one. You teach them to walk away from a confrontation and ask somebody to help them so they can avoid these type of situations. What do they teach you in a CCW class? Get off the X. What that means is avoid the confrontation at all costs. The last resort is drawing my firearm and pulling the trigger, not the first. But we're going to leave it at that, and we're going to move into the EDC, how and why.
Mightier than the sword. Improvised weapons. So when I'm talking about improvised weapons, I'm not talking about sharpening a stick or anything like that. What I mean is, you're being attacked. What can you use to defend yourself? Me personally, my keys have a 50 BMG keychain on it that I can easily use as a what's called a Kubaton or other sort of impact device, or when I'm at work, We got things like wrenches, ratchets, tools, the non-traditional things that people really don't think of as weapons. I've studied Salat and Kali myself, and we've gone over things like using rolled up magazines, scarves, canes. There's many things around us that can be used to come to our aid that lots of us never really think about. And I'd like to get the guys back in here and hear from them as to what their opinions are and some of their examples.
Well, for me, I think it's like best described with John Wick in the pen, or the pencil, right? He stuck all three dudes with a pencil at a bar. That's awesome, right? No. So improvised weapons, tire irons. It could be a number of things. Padlock and a sock. I mean, you do what you got to do, right? To protect yourself. There's a lot of situations where you may not have something to defend yourself with, and you're going to have to improvise on the fly. So a pencil, if it's sharpened, really could do some damage. I mean, I don't know if you've ever, accidentally poked yourself with your pen or your pencil or something like that. It doesn't feel good, obviously, and with enough thrust and force behind it, it really could cause some damage. So I always think you should not being paranoid. Don't be paranoid about the situation, but it's like when you walk into somewhere, situational awareness shouldn't just be, okay, I'm sitting in the corner, I can see all the entrances, I've made an exit plan and all that. It shouldn't be only that. You should look around and see, okay, if I had to protect myself, are there things around me that I could use that will be effective? But don't be paranoid about it. Don't sit down and go, okay, I'm going to take this knife and keep it in my shirt pocket while you're at dinner. I mean, you're going to look like a psycho, so don't do that. But we're going to move into Rob and what he thinks.
Well, again, kind of like with Griff at work, there's plenty of things I can have as a tool. Probably like thermostat screwdriver is probably number one. I was always taught in when I took judo, everyone always carries keys all the time, and I was told you can hold them like this in between your fingers. That's a great way to get someone out. Yeah, like Wes said, you're not going to carry a knife in your shirt pocket all the time, or whatever you do have to improvise.
Well, it's not just that. I mean, what if you're out hiking or something and you didn't bring a firearm for whatever the reason may be, and a mountain lion comes across your track? What are you going to do? A rock. I'm picking up the biggest rock I could possibly find and hope this thing doesn't 90-mile-an-hour rip my face off. You know what I mean? Like,
that's also a good thing to learn how animals get scared, though. Like mountain lions, I know if you grab something, you put it on top of your head, you look as tall as possible, and you don't move.
Mm-hmm.
They don't like stuff taller than them.
No. Well, and see, then I'm screwed.
Yeah.
I'm screwed. I'm going to have to start throwing rocks. I'm going to have to, throw the backpack, throw the shoe, throw Jonna at him. I don't know. I'm going to have to do something.
Just, if you go hiking, just bring someone that's slower than you. So when you start running.
Right.
So, Rob, when you want to go hiking? Bing! Gotcha. Griff, any other thoughts?
Oh. Well, I came up with this when I was talking to some family earlier this week. And someone close to me happens to work in the courthouse. As we all know, we can't have firearms or knives or really anything in the courthouse. So that got me thinking, well, there's always a letter opener of some type, a sturdy pen, a red swing line stapler. Please laugh if you get that reference. Or really anything. When it comes down to defending yourself, there is no rules. Play with the caveman mindset and just be the one to walk away alive. Well, how's about we wrap up the show now before it
Yeah.
evolves into just us laughing like idiots.
I was gonna say before we turn this into a Lucille, you never know when you're gonna need something crazy. Yeah, we're gonna wrap up the show. Thanks guys for joining us. We greatly appreciate all you viewers out there. We're gonna end it off with our show ending, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.
Later, guys.